that's all I got, guys. So, thank you so much, and we'll see you when we see you.
What if the man who made us laugh in parking lots was quietly mourning in the dark? Steve Wallis, YouTube's flannel-clad camper, the Bob Ross of stealth, built an empire on fireside calm and roadside charm. But few realize, behind the beers, the gear hacks, the quiet forests, lay shadows deeper than any wilderness. This isn't just a story about camping, it's about hiding. From life, from grief, from ghosts. Let's go there. This story matters to me not because it's dramatic, but because it's real. The kind that shifts how we see ourselves. That's why I do this. Not for hype, but for truth. Steve Wallis was born in Vancouver, British Columbia on September 10, 1981. Raised on the rugged landscapes of the Rockies, his earliest memories were stitched together by the crackle of firewood and pine needles underfoot. But unlike most campers, Steve's wilderness education didn't come through badges or trail guides. It came through necessity. In his 20s, Steve wasn't adventuring. He was surviving. From 2006 to 2009, he lived in a beat-up Class C RV, parked illegally in alleys and industrial zones around Victoria. No rent, no address, no fallback. His heater barely worked. Food came from grocery store dumpsters, lights powered by secondhand solar panels. He called it boondocking, but this wasn't YouTube content. It was survival with dignity. Nights were a game of tension. Just abandoned buildings, forgotten bridges, grassy medians between highways, each spot chosen with care, humor, and grit. 2020, a Cold War nuclear bunker. Rattlesnake signs, freezing temperatures. His heater fails. Steve runs a midnight supply mission under asbestos warnings. 2021, a rotting gas station in Alberta. He explores a collapsed trailer littered with rodent droppings before settling in beside rusted pumps. 2022, a highway shrub median, Langford, BC. Police searchlights pass overhead. Steve doesn't flinch. 2023, Steve films a dramatic campout in a deep abandoned mine, remarking on how the silence and darkness add tension, but without reporting any supernatural events. 2025, Steve spent the night in a long abandoned water pipe in Souk, BC. He described the acoustics and eerie feel. His video focused on the adventure and exploring the site, not hearing any supernatural answers. But here's the truth. These weren't just spooky camps. They were metaphors. Steve was confronting ghosts. The external ones, yes, but also the ones clawing at him from within. August 20th, 2022. Steve's wife, Jessica Audrey Wallis, dies unexpectedly in her sleep. She was only 31. Jessica, a music teacher, soft-spoken, kind-eyed. Steve called her beautiful wife in videos, but her presence was quieter than his fame, more sacred. Steve has shared that they met while working summer jobs. He has not publicly specified where. When Jessica moved to Hungary to study music, Steve followed. That's the kind of love it was. When she passed, Steve uploaded a raw video titled, "Rest in Peace, My Beautiful Wife." He sat in silence, trembling. Words struggled to come. Millions watched and cried. Reddit lit up with tributes. Fans donated to food banks in her memory. Then, his mother, cancer, 2023. Then, his best friend, Glenn, crazy neighbor, Brown. A beloved figure on the channel, Glenn also passed, though the exact date is not widely published. It was too much. In a 2024 live stream, drenched in rain, Steve whispered, "I almost quit." But grief, in Steve's world, isn't an end. It's a trailhead, so he kept filming. For years, fans laughed as Steve cracked a cold beer after camp setup. Step 2, he called it. But post-tragedy, that ritual began to shift. Steve has sometimes switched to non-alcoholic beers and mentioned in videos moderating his drinking habits after hardship. Softer eyes, healthier meals, a man quietly healing in the only way he knew how, one camp at a time. His haunts weren't about thrill anymore. They became spaces of solitude. Each fire a vigil, each tent a chapel. His subscribers, many dealing with grief themselves, saw it and stayed. Because Steve didn't preach healing, he lived it. With fame came critics. He's glamorizing homelessness. He's faking danger for clicks. But Steve never lashed out. Instead, he responded with truth. "I've been homeless. This isn't cosplay. It's catharsis." He emphasized safety, respected property, carried out trash, and reminded fans, don't do what I do. Do what feels right for you. And the conspiracies that he fakes camps, stages sounds, debunked over and over by his transparency, by the rawness, by the fact that Steve has nothing to prove and nothing to hide. As of 2025, Steve continues to post regular camping videos and develop new projects. Steve occasionally shares updates on side projects in life, but his primary brand remains Camping with Steve. He has documented steady progress building his acreage called Hunkertown, a dream he once shared with Jessica. He regularly posts updates but has not confirmed it as a public retreat or sanctuary. Steve has mentioned possibly writing a memoir about how camping helped him heal. As of now, no publication has been formally announced. He's also expressed hopes of camping in places like Alaska and Europe, though no confirmed trips have been revealed yet. Steve Wallis has gone from parking lots to legacy, from home to haunt. If you're still here, you're like me. You're not just here for stories, but for meaning. And this last part, it's who they became after all the pain. We watch YouTubers to be entertained, but sometimes one shows us how to live. Steve Wallis didn't ask to be a symbol. He became one anyway. For every person grieving in silence, for every soul that finds peace in a tent, for every night that feels too dark to endure, he's proof the fire can still be lit and the next step can still be taken. What do you think? Has Steve Wallis quietly become the most meaningful creator on YouTube? Drop your thoughts below. And if you want to see the night he camped inside a Cold War bunker, alone in sub-zero cold, click here next. It's one of the rawest things ever captured. Hit like, subscribe, and as Steve says, cheers to step 2. Here comes Spot Rumor, one rumor at a time.